Hey everybody, it's me again, and I am just just feeling kind of down lately, and I don't know why I felt like I'd let you know about it. Not your typical YouTube channel here. We talk about all kinds of things, but mostly boring stuff. Uh, I'm amazed that anybody looks at my channel or follows my channel at all. I look at my videos and I think to myself, what an idiot. What a fool. A guy has a lot of nerve to post his videos, his stupid videos of himself, acting like an idiot, basically. Uh, what can I say? My life is not what I wanted it to be. I'm depressed. Sometimes I feel like people just don't like me. Uh, Nobody likes my videos. My channel sucks. Uh, and deep down inside, there's something very wrong with me. Uh, why else would I be doing this? I don't know. And I think, part of it has to do with my age, getting to be a certain age. Uh, and part of it has to do with dealing with what I've been dealing with, caring for my father, with Alzheimer's disease, which is a really hard thing to do. Um, and it's something it's we all, maybe not all of us, but if you're like me, you might have had some conflict with your parents growing up, and I think that's pretty normal. I think most people do. uh, my dad was really different than other dads, and really, uh, in my father is an artistic genius, or was, and he, I think, to have that kind of a personality, you have to be kind of special, and people who are kind of special usually know that they're kind of special, and I think he has been really absorbed in himself all his life. He loves adoration, and he's got a big ego, and he likes, you know, for people to praise him and to adore him. Who doesn't? But because of that, I don't think he was really present as a father throughout my life, as probably most people get from their dads. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, you know, I know my son doesn't get much from me. It's not my fault. I really tried hard. I wanted to be a part of his life, but his mother really did her best to alienate him from me, and she was pretty successful with that. And that's probably a big contributor to my depression also. But yeah, seems like God, everything I do is a failure. Everything I set my hands to is a dismal failure, and I don't even. I've had little or no direction in my life. Really, looking back, there's some accomplishments I'm proud of. I guess. I really enjoyed teaching karate, and I did that for about 4 years. it started off just doing some private lessons before I got my black belt, teaching some private students, and I really enjoyed that. And the private lessons paid pretty well, but you can't really make a living off it unless you really go full bore into it. And working at the karate school, I made minimum wage, and then I'd make a little bit of money from my private lessons, but that was a happy time in my life because we really enjoyed being in the dojo all day and working with the kids and stuff, so I'm kind of proud of that. I mean, I made a difference in the lives of a lot of children, and I gave them some discipline that they needed. And that's kind of why their parents bring them to karate school, because they feel their kids need some discipline, usually. So those are great memories, and I really love that time. And if any of my former students are watching this video, it was a great honor and a great privilege to be your karate teacher. Thank you for letting me be your teacher and having an influence in your life. What else? Well, I got my associate's degree. No huge accomplishment, right? Lots of people get associate's degrees or better. But it's not the degree you get, it's what you do with it. It's not your level of education, it's what you do with it. I'm disappointed that I didn't go much further with my education, in my life. When I was in, elementary school and high school, junior high, it was pretty obvious that I had, kind of above average intelligence, that I got A's real easily on a lot of things without really trying. And I was a real whiz with science. Problem was, I wasn't into math. I just didn't want to sit down and do all those math problems. And so, and then the culture I came from, my sisters dropped out of school, and I wanted to drop out of school as soon as I was old enough to. And that's kind of what I wound up doing. Pretty much just stopped going to classes, which got me kicked out of school. And then I started working construction at a very young age. I was only 14. And paying my mom rent and stuff. She said, if you're not going to go to school, you're going to get a job and you're going to pay rent, and she didn't charge me much for rent, but it was a little bit. It was enough for me to feel that expense. And then, but, to her credit, she saved that money up, and she used it to take us both to Europe. And I got to live for 4 months on a Greek island, and that was a great education of itself, probably better than any experiences I could have had at Santa Fe High at the time. Santa Fe High School was more or less a war zone at the time, and it was a dangerous place to be, especially if you were a Caucasian kid. So I'm grateful to my mom. She took me to Greece, and I lived there for 4 months. I started to learn to speak Greek. I became a part of this small Greek village on the north side of Crete, and made friends there, and it was one of the richest experiences of my life. And the food was just the best food I ever had in my life. These sheep roaming the hills of Crete, eating wild oregano. I've never been a fan of lamb, but that was some tasty meat. And so I lived off souvlaki. You could get an order of souvlaki on the streets a street vendor for 50 drachmas, which was, you know, what, I don't know, about 25 cents or something. You could get souvlaki, a beautiful sandwich of cubed lamb with vegetables and on pita bread, and tzatziki, fresh tzatziki. Just, and the seafood, incredibly just delicious food out of the ocean all the time, Tirama salata and stuff like that. So that was a great experience, you know, and so I have a lot to be thankful for in my life, you know. But from there, I, you know, what happened was, I had a couple of jobs when I was on Crete. So I was 15. I think I turned 15 on Crete, and I worked for a little while with a Greek guy. I would take care of his. He had this house up in the hills of Crete, and he needed someone like a caretaker to be there in the daytime and water the trees and feed his rabbits. I think he had rabbits, and you know, do some, you know, kind of home improvement stuff, staining these stairs and staining some furniture for him and doing work like that. So it was really kind of an interesting, you know, place to be. And then I worked for a really short time for a restaurant in Rethymnon called Tassos Restaurant, and it was just a greeter, try to get tourists to come in and then help bus the tables and stuff like that. Didn't do that for very long. And anyway, really mostly what I did on Crete at the age of 15 was party. I partied hard every day. All night long. I'd go to Ruli's bar on the beach and drink raki and just get hammered. And I had a Greek girlfriend that I dated. In the daytime, I'd hang out at the bar on the beach and play chess with the old Greek men. So there was a lot, you know, and I guess what happened was my mom just got tired of it. And she said, you know, you're going to have to go back to the United States. I can't, you know, control you. You won't work. You party all the time, you know. So she called Dad, and Dad paid for a plane ticket to get me back from Athens to Los Angeles. And so I flew all the way from Athens to Los Angeles. First, I left Mom in Crete, and I took a boat to Athens. And then from Athens, I got on the plane to spent the night in Athens and hung out there for a day or two, and then got on the plane going to back to LA. And so when I got to LA, you know, I was still 15, and Dad said, well, you know, if you don't want to go to school, then you're going to have to get a job. So I got a job washing dishes at Ruby Satay Restaurant, this Chinese restaurant on Van Nuys Boulevard. I don't know, about 3 or 4 miles from from where we lived. I would ride my bike to get there. And I'm just trying to see if these people are going to go. I guess not. Okay. Anyway, I was their only employee. You know, I would come in after the lunch rush, and there'd be this pile of dishes all the way up to the ceiling. And I would wash them by hand. They didn't have an automated dishwasher. They had, you know, big sink, you know, and with really hot water in there. And this old Chinese lady was ruthless. She would make me, you know, stick my hands in this like nearly boiling water to wash the dishes. And it was really painful. But she could do it. And so she would shame me, like, well, look, I can do it. You know, why can't you put your hands in the water? So I would endure the pain. and wash the dishes in this scorching hot water. And just around the time I was finishing this huge pile of dishes, I mean, literally like you see in a cartoon going up to the ceiling, the dishes from the lunch rush would start, I mean, the dinner rush would start to come in. And so then I'd wash all the dishes from the dinner rush, and then they would feed me, and they would give me this big plate of fried rice, usually with some chicken or whatever in it, and I would eat that and then ride my bike home. And, so I was introduced to the working world pretty young. And then what happened after that was my sister, who had been traveling around with her boyfriend, traveling around the world, this kind of wealthy dude, was driving through town in their hippied out Volkswagen bus, and they invited me to go with them to live on this commune up in Oregon. And I kind of like, they talked me into it. You know, I was sort of like, well, I can't go to Oregon. You know, I have this job, you know, washing dishes. You know, I'm here with my dad, and they're like, well, you know, if you really believe in living for the moment, then you'll just come with us and we'll go to Oregon, you know. And so I went with them, probably more because I wanted to smoke grass than anything else, and I couldn't find any in LA at the time. And we rode in the Volkswagen bus all the way up to the commune on Oregon, and I lived up there with them for a while. Not very long, really. My job was to bury the honey pots and to, which was the offal from our outhouses. We would use the 5-gallon bucket method. And there were some horses that I took care of. I would feed the horses and brush them daily, and so that's kind of what I did up there. And but I sensed after a while that I wasn't really welcome with Angel's boyfriend was getting tired of having me around there, my sister's boyfriend. So I left and I went to Eugene, Oregon, and I lived on the streets of Eugene, Oregon at the age of 15. You know, I couldn't find work. I tried to find work, but I couldn't find work. And I would, you know, live in flop houses or whatever. Sleep in what we called free houses, which was, you know, usually a bunch of hippies living together in this big, huge house. And we'd all kind of pool our food stamps together and make a big pot of gruel and eat together. And we'd pool our change, our leftover change, and we would buy a bottle of Mad Dog 2020 or something and pass it around. And wasn't a great time in my life. I mean, it was an adventure, but it was hard. I mean, it was tough surviving. And I remember I got really, really sick. I got a really bad, like, infection in my tonsils that nearly killed me, you know. And I finally was able to get to a hospital and get some medicine that I took that I started to come out of it, some antibiotics or something and so I managed to survive it. And then I hitchhiked. I hitchhiked all the way from Los Angeles, from Eugene, Oregon, through Los Angeles to Santa Fe. And all during my 15th year. So to say I had kind of a rough childhood, you know, I think is putting it mildly to some people, maybe not to others. But Yeah. So I've had an unusual life, but I haven't been very successful in my life. I haven't, you know, accomplished much. And it's doubtful now at this point in my life that I ever will. So I guess that's why I'm feeling depressed. I guess I'm just feeling very disillusioned. I feel like, in some ways there's no point anymore, of no point in continuing on. I'm not talking about suicide or anything like that, but there's no point in trying really to accomplish anything if it's just the things that I wanted to accomplish are clearly out of my reach at this point. And so, and I wasn't super ambitious. Mostly what I wanted to do was to travel. I wanted to see the world, and as much of the world as I possibly could. I wanted to cover the entire globe if possible. So anyway, that'll never happen. I've got too much debt, and I failed in that mission. That's just not going to happen. So I have a mission to take care of my dad, who's suffering from Alzheimer's, and that I feel like I'm being pretty successful with. At least I'm succeeding in that as best I can, just to make him comfortable and kind of keep him happy and keep him at home, because he could have easily wound up in a state facility or something like that. So it looks like we're going to be able to avoid that. And he'll be able to have a peaceful death, in his home with his art around him, and hopefully his son with him. And I guess I'm coming to terms with that a lot, and that might be a big part of why I feel so down. It's like you're kind of Alzheimer's disease. You kind of feel like you've already lost them before they're dead. And it's pretty painful. It's especially painful to me because, as I mentioned, my dad and I, we had our conflict, that, there were times when we didn't, I was unhappy with him for what I felt like, being an absent father, and he was unhappy with me. I think I didn't fit his idea of a good person. I didn't fit his idea of what a good person should be, I think. But I don't really feel like he ever took the time to get to know me well enough to really know who I was inside, I think he was just too wrapped up in himself to really want to get to know me enough to understand me. So anyway, I don't know about other people, but when our parents near death, well, my mother passed away about almost 4 years ago, or was it 4 years ago? I guess it was over 4 years ago. And I got to be there with her when she died, and I'm really glad I did, because I got to tell her that she was right. that any arguments or conflicts that we had, I, you know, I conceded that she was right and I was wrong, and I should have listened to her more, and I was sorry I didn't, and I got to let her know that, and I think that that really was good for me. Now, I could say the same thing to Dad, and he might understand it for a minute or two, but he'll forget it after, forget I ever said it within a couple minutes. I have said that to Dad, but I don't think it sank in. Anyway, today I have a palliative care nurse coming to meet with me and Dad, and she'll be visiting him every couple of weeks, I think, as we go along here. Eventually he's going to go on hospice, but for now he's not quite at that point yet. He's not quite at the point of hospice, but he will be before long. It's only a matter of time. And so the palliative care nurse will be great for me, a great resource for me, because she can give me guidance, on how to proceed with him, and she can let me know let the hospice people know when it's time to get involved. So it takes some pressure off me. So I'm really happy about that. So that's the update. Thank you all. If you're watching this video all the way to the end, like this, you might as well subscribe to my channel. So please do. Subscribe to my channel, like and share it on all your social media. Thanks so much. Talk to you later. Bye.